am working on a teeny tiny little baby today. Wow, this thing's small. Anyways, you know, I can't figure out why manufacturers constantly make equipment where it's hard to get CRTs on. Sometimes even hoses. It's crazy. I ended up unbolting that and just sticking something behind there so I could get this CRT on. Now this is a very, very small unit and only takes a little over 1.5 pounds in refrigerant. So I want to check the charge because it's having some performance issues, and that's going to be hard to do with such little refrigerant. So I'm going to do something kind of interesting, at least to me. And I'm going to figure out how much an Appion with a hose attached, where the condenser in the hose is full of liquid, like how much liquid is in this after recovery. So we're at 26.1 pounds with this attached. I'm going to recover and then reweigh it. I'm going to pull the entire setup into a vacuum so I'm not even wasting refrigerant during the purge. But one thing you have to be careful of is vacuums sometimes will not go through these. See, I've got no vacuum. Now watch this. Now I've got vacuum. So I'm gonna pull the vacuum and then start the recovery. So far I've recovered down to 3 psi, so that's pretty much everything. And we've got 1.5 pounds, so I don't think we're low on charge. Let's go ahead and see what's trapped in the Appion. All right, so the liquid in the Appion weighs essentially nothing, which is good to know. If you're using a subcooler, that's definitely not the case. I always like to drain the subcooler back into the system because, man, those things hold a lot of liquid. All right, I've got an interesting one here. So I've got a unit, it's offline right now, but it's reading an air temperature of like 270 something degrees, which is basically indicating that the temp sensor is open. So here's the assembly right here. It does humidity and temperature. It's very ironic it's shaped like this. So it is a add-on from a company I will leave unnamed, but they're giving us the shaft, acting like we can't order the part. It's got to go through them, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, here's what we're gonna do here. So, by the way, we're fully licensed HVAC, do it all. There's no reason why we should not be able to get this part. Anyways, here's the humidity portion of this sensor. So we feed in power, and then based on our setting, we get an output that correlates to humidity. But the temperature portion of this, I really don't think is that complicated as I've looked at this. These pins here are just connected straight into this thermistor. Now, what I don't know, because this thermistor is bad, I don't know what value thermistor it is, but we're gonna find out. What I'm gonna do is take this decade box here and we're gonna feed in different resistances until on the controls I see that we're reading 77 degrees, because thermistors are basically, the way that they're named is whatever their value is at 25C, okay? So once we see that 77, we're at 25C, and that should be our thermistor value. So then I'm just gonna get a thermistor and solder it in there. All right, we're getting into the weeds here. So, turns out that I was mistaken about the circuit. It is an oddball. There is a bus right here that's just straight to ground, probably off of this. So this is a pull down design, which means that what the chip is gonna do is send out voltage, and it's gonna see how it gets pulled down to ground. Now, you can see these resistors that are responsible for limiting current in here, but basically this is a ground. This one here, This is the board output. It's very hard to trace out these double-sided boards without a schematic, but ended up being able to trace it out through this resistor here, all the way up to this pin right here on the IC. So we might just be screwed. There may be no repair in this whatsoever if the IC is not even going to output the voltage that we need to get the test voltage and the pull down and all of that. Now, in case you're wondering, this high pressure switch is not on the bus here. This is a totally separate circuit design for this one. Now this is an odd problem. So this is a train high efficiency unit. It's supposed to be in heat. Something odd going on here. Okay, she just flipped over into defrost. Now, you'll notice that's very strange. So we've got a spike right here, right, for on time, and then we got another spike down here. And that's not unusual. I'll see if I can get a better, see these are inductive spikes here. And when you have a magnetic coil collapse, you're gonna get those. So, you know, it only energized that reversing valve for a second, and that's it. Turns out there's a magnet in here. See, I don't like that at all. You know, when I go to activate these solenoids with just a regular magnet, like not the magnet tool, you basically start here, and when you get your magnetism right about here, that's when the plunger opens, and that's where it likes to hang out, right there. When you're walking up on a VRF system of any brand, let me show you a few things that you can pretty much universally know right off the bat. So I've got a regular contactor, which means I've got a standard compressor in there, and then I've got these feeds here for the inverter. So this has an inverter in the and a standard. In addition, I only have one set of comm lines, so we automatically know that this is a slave, and this one here is going to be the master. So I got two sets of comm lines there. So one is going to go to the other unit, and then one's going to go to the indoors. I've got no contactor here, and I don't have more than one inverter output. So I've got one inverter compressor in this unit.